Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high-performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need to fix your everyday vehicle up or your hot rod. There she is, Amy Earnhardt. Amy, you look good. It looks like you're sitting in a race car chair.
I am sitting in Dale's little cubby in his office. This is like the quietest place in the house, so I came to hide out in here with you.
Well, thank you. We all have those rooms that are serenity. Actually, my office, my son-in-law, Jacob, he says, I got to get one of these offices. So we have a lot to get to. And Amy, as I tell everybody, Kenny Conversation is about celebrating you, your life. You've done a lot. And first of all, I want to apologize. I have carried guilt for a long time, ever since you and Junior got married. You and Dale Jr. sent me and Kim an invitation to come to your wedding.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make it because my wife has this incredible New Year's party. And oh my God, it tore me apart. But we didn't come to your wedding because we had all these invitations out. I want to apologize to you for not being there. And
You do not need to apologize for that. It's totally understandable. And I love that you guys have such a big celebration on New Year's. Maybe one day we'll join forces and celebrate that together.
oh my God, the work that my wife puts into these, Kim's real shy, but boy, she loves partying. It's a strange phenomenon.
Y'all are the perfect match then.
Yeah, you know what's funny? So I listen to you really well because I agree with you, because anytime Dale Jr. makes videos, you're in bed sleeping and he's out trying to tear the night away. So you like to relax, you and Kim.
I do. I know when to fold them, or I've tried to learn. He just will go till the wheels fall off, but I can't do that. So I have to just put myself to sleep like a good girl. When I feel like it's coming, I just don't even fight it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you had a good time back at University of Kentucky, and you're like, I'm not doing that again. Those were crazy days.
I partied harder when I first met Dale than I did in college. And that is no joke. We partied in college, but you went to sleep when the bars closed, you went home, you passed out. So 1 or 2 in the morning was basically the latest you were going to stay up.
Yeah.
Dale would stay out and watch the sunrise and then just keep digging. I'm like, wow, this is epic. And I don't know how you live like this. And he's just like a natural pirate. He really is. Yeah. He didn't do that anymore. He'll sit down and I race for a little bit, but he's the next level partier that kind of changed all of that for me.
Was he nocturnal a little bit? He just couldn't go to sleep?
He was completely nocturnal by choice. He played video games, I raced, or did all of that in the middle of the night, and then slept as much as he could during the day. So yeah, that was kind of a pattern for him. Made partying all night a little bit easier, I guess.
Let's celebrate you. It looks to me like you all just had a really good time. I love your Instagram, and but you have become a superstar in my mind on the Dale Jr. download. You're so good at it.
Listen, I get in there and he teased me up and I get nervous and I just have like word vomit. I just like start sharing. And so the first episode when I sat down and I told everybody about the candy and the couch, I looked at him
that was it.
I'm so sorry. It just happens. It just, and what's funny, I told him this the other day because I sat down with him this week again. I said, it's almost like this weird, have you heard of brain spotting? Where they do rapid eye movement therapy and it like triggers memories. Sitting there and him talking about certain things, especially the way he remembers it versus its reality or the way I remember it, it's almost similar in that way. I will remember things that I literally just put way, way, way in the back. And it just like flies out. So I hope it's fun and funny and it doesn't offend anybody, but I do love him. I like giving him a hard time, but it's a lot of love.
Yeah, but pretty soon here, we're going to find out. I know where this comes from, and we're going to go to your high school days. You're a leader. You're a competitor. You're a badass. Last night, my wife and myself, we went to Texas Roadhouse, and on the way up there, I told Kim that I was going to talk to you. And I said, oh my God, she's so funny. I said, but why did Dale Jr. put those little, fireballs? Why didn't he just put them on the coffee table and later that night throw them away?
I mean, that's the same thing. I asked him when we were in Anguilla. I was like, you know what? I have a question about that. Why did you wait till you got to the very tiniest little center? It was the tiniest little, and then why didn't you just eat it? He's like, well, that will hurt your teeth. That was his answer.
I love this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
when you were on Dale Jr. Download, and we all know how successful that show is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people watch it, but it looks like America watches, at least all the race fans. When he first asked you, or Mike Davis, how did that start? When did you first learn? Who called you? Who asked you to say, hey, would you start coming on here every month or so? When did that happen?
Well, I had a couple of small little sit downs with them. I think the first one was after he did the ice bath. Yeah, I shared that with Mike, or I shared it on social media. I forget, but I did think I shared it on social media. So Mike's like, we have to talk about that a little bit more. So I came in and just sat down for 15 minutes, and the stories and the camaraderie between Dale and I, and Mike especially, like all the banter was just kind of a hit. So I think that they wanted to see where that would go if I came back in and just kind of kept telling stories about how ridiculous our life is, or things Dale's done that are funny. It's good to have a different perspective on him. And so they are just trying to tap into that, I think.
This reminds me of a hero of mine. He's gone now, but Dick Trickle was a really good race car driver. And he said to me, Herman, you know why we get married? It was like this trick question. I said, no, Dale, or no, Dick. Why do we get married? He says, so we have somebody to witness our life. So see, you're a witness, and now you can tell the stories. Well, it goes both ways. Your husband is witnessing your life too.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Most people say to keep us in check. Most people are like, oh, you get married, so we have somebody to help you when you're old, and then just keep you in check. And so I like Dick's perspective on that. Way better.
Yeah, we're here to and it helped me too, Amy. I'm here to witness my wife's life, and she's here to witness mine. And hopefully, when we're gone, she'll, say, "Oh, he was this way," and tell the stories. Okay, you just celebrated 8 years, and like I said, your Instagram is awesome. How do you say this? Anguilla?
Anguilla? I think so. Anguilla, if you want to try to get perfect, or Anguilla. Yeah.
Yeah. So you went there. I guess you just got back, and you all talk about it on the Dale Jr. download, and you both talk about going there, celebrating 8 years of marriage. You found the Elvis Beach Bar, but Junior said, the way I took it was that him so good that he said when he walked up to this Elvis Beach Bar, he felt like you set it all up. He said because it was too perfect. Tell me about this time.
So we went, girlfriends and I went to Anguilla for my bachelorette party. So there's like 12, maybe 15 girls, rented a house, partied all over the island. And we found this little bar called Elvis's that we fell in love with, and we had the absolute best time. And it's literally just a boat sitting right there in the bay of this beautiful sandy beach. And so if Dale and I were going to ever go back, I just talked about it so much, Elvis's Beach Bar. And Elvis is the bartender. And it's just a super awesome laid back time. And so when he surprised me with this trip, he said, we're going to go to Elvis's. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I really hope it lives up to the hype. I hope it's still there. I hope all the things are just as perfect as it was for our experience. And so we roll up, and it's this tiny little dirt road, and you can't even see it until you get right up on it. And then we get out of the car, and they're playing Nirvana, which is both of our favorite bands. And we sit down, and it's calm. There's music playing. There's just the perfect environment. The weather is perfect. And he said it was almost like, even though he planned the trip for us, it was almost like I had planned that day for him, because he felt like it was just the absolute perfect scene.
Yeah. And I guess, as you said, you were worried because now you've spent all this time, but it lived up to the hype.
It lived up to the hype. He got to meet Elvis. We got to meet Brett, who is the co-owner. And The dog that Brett owns that we played with 8 years ago was still there, Blue. So
Oh
like the
my.
whole thing, almost like we just redid the whole day, basically. It was really cool.
Okay. Now it's time to talk all about you. Fun, just to start the show out with what's up. We just saw you, on the Dale Jr. download, and we celebrated you being on there. Now you are a hit, and that's why they keep having you back. But I want to start talking about Amy Reimann. Uh, the girl from Texas. You
I'm
you
glad you
are.
know how to say that right. Even Dale said Reimann longer than he should.
I don't know why I know how to say it, but I'm happy because I always want people to say, "Now correct me," and I like it when they do that. But let's get down to you. Know all about you. So I go down these rabbit holes. I am not an investigator. I just read articles, and now I know why you're a successful lady. I read some good articles on you. And is it are you from Victoria, Texas?
I am. Yep.
Are you a small town girl?
I'm a small town girl, small family. The whole family was there, grandparents and all. So we had a really good small town, like quiet little upbringing. It was happy, and we spent a lot of time with our grandparents. My parents were young; they were 20 when they had me, so we all kind of like grew up together. How old were you guys when you had your first?
Well, Kim and I got married June 23rd, 1984. We were 22 when we had our first. But we were done by 26, just the way it worked out. You can't time these things, as you know, but I think one thing that interests me, and I want to kind of go back and forth. You make an effort, uh, because you're so good on social media, and Junior is too. But I see you going back and forth to home. I think it's awesome. And in one of the articles I read on you, somebody was bragging on you, and they say you come from a really good family. So it sounds to me like your whole family is well respected. Do you get excited when you go back home?
I love going back home. So I still have all of my grandparents too. And so I go back home as much as I possibly can because I want to spend as much time with them as I can. And my parents, but parents are in different places now. And some of the grandparents are in Dallas now and some are still in Victoria. So like it takes a little more effort to kind of move around and see everyone. But I loved where I grew up. I love my family. Family was, I mean, we spent more time with them than anybody else, to be honest. We always had like a friend over or something, but the grandparents and everybody were always around. And I have so many good memories, just basic everyday memories, and then like memories of traveling and, really doing things together. So yeah, I love going home, and I love taking Dale home because he really loves them too. And it's just good, laid back, relaxed, and just fun. It's really a lot to like about Texas. They tell you that over and over again. That's almost like a little bit of the brainwashing that happens when you grow up in Texas. It's the best state ever. But it really is. It really, really is. There's so much to do. It's huge. There's different places to go, different vibes everywhere, and the food's so good. But of course, family is what always takes us back.
I don't mean to get deep, but I'm listening to you intently. I'm listening to you when you kind of pause a little bit. Do you think, now I mean this with heart and love, do you think because Dale Jr., uh, lost his mother and father, that sometimes him going home with you
Hmm.
is therapeutic?
I think so. Sure. Of course it is, right? He's very well received. He gets a lot of love and support from generations that he doesn't have around him anymore. He still has two aunts, but that's basically it. His grandmother, his uncles, his parents have all passed. So yeah, absolutely. I think so.
I'm bragging on you, and we're going to get to that later. But in that article, it talks. I thought it was really interesting how in an article somebody said Amy comes from a great family. They're very well respected, and I do see you guys going back and forth. What is the vibe? What does Texas have that North Carolina doesn't have? What is the difference? I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying, what are some of the things that stand out to you? What is the vibe in Texas compared to where you're living right now?
I would say that anytime you go out to eat, hang out with the family, whether it's yours or someone else's, everyone is there to have a good time. Whether that's playing yard games or cooking out or, even just helping grandfather feed the cows, pushing hay off the back of the truck. Everything is done with this like laid back joy, and it feels calm and fun. We do like to celebrate everything too. So I don't know if that's just my family. It doesn't seem like it, but we're going to make a party out of every little moment we can. I think that's another reason Dusty's going home with me.
Yeah. I love it.
It's just great. I don't know.
It sounds to me like you go back there and you get centered, and then you come back into the fire. Because we all know that living in North Carolina is, it's where you can't go to a restaurant and, they're all wanting to talk racing, and it sounds cool. Okay. Let's go to your high school. This is going to be my favorite.
Wait, before we go here, please tell me you don't have pictures.
You're very young, but there is a black and white one of you, and it's there. And I saw it, but I'm like, that, you're fine. Everything's all good, but it's just not a clear picture. And it is the picture is there in the article. You're in cheerleading outfit. Yeah, you got the little kick going on with your leg, and you're a girl. And okay, you were the senior co-head captain for the cheerleading team, and Victoria High School. You were a cheerleader in Victoria, Texas, at Victoria High School. Just tell me what you remember about. I mean, was it fun for you?
High school was scary and not so fun. Victoria High School was a really big school. There were 2 public schools in town. And I actually graduated in 2000, which was the last year the school was open. They consolidated all the schools and rebuilt and did the whole thing. So that school is no longer, but cheerleading was really fun. I had a really good group of girlfriends, and we worked very hard. I started cheering my freshman year of high school. I danced all my life. And so my parents kind of expected me to do the drill team, which was like high kick line and the whole Texas thing. Like everything you imagine about, like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the vibe with the kicks and all that. But I didn't do that. I ended up doing cheerleading because I just wanted this like smaller, less chaotic group of people to kind of compete with. And so I started go to gymnastics and tumbling as well as I could. I was not that great at it, and just decided to cheer. So I was competitive already because we had done dance competitions for years and years, but cheerleading was like a new shift and a good one. I think it was a good choice for me.
Kim and I, this is a very boring time of the year for us, so we get hooked on Netflix specials, and we watch the Dallas Cowboy cheerleading. I was shocked that I liked it. I mean, it was so intense.
It was. The personalities and the process. I love watching like the older girls, and just the energy and the vibe they had was so different. I loved it.
You can only be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader for 5 years, and if you don't kick high enough, you can't do it. If you're not nice enough, if you don't look good in makeup, oh my gosh! So
can you imagine those tiny little shorts? They're not real. They're like not a normal a piece of clothing. Like it's not underwear and it's not a short. It's just this weird. I can't imagine having to put that on and just like be in public. And these girls look amazing in it.
So, but one thing I learned about being a cheerleader, to me, I'm embarrassed when I say this, but I love my wife. I like girls, and the whole time all of us men, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, man, and boy, that special on Netflix put me in my place, and so I'm glad I watched it before I found out you were a cheerleader. I just found out you were a cheerleader last night. 12 hours before you and I are talking right now. But being a senior co-head captain, that means you had to lead a little bit, right?
It did. There were 2 seniors. We split being captains, and we had, when you're captain of a cheerleading team, you're basically just trying to help herd the cats. We had a really great director, Denise, and she was in charge and would delegate, and we would just kind of, it's hard to remember all the little things that we did and had to do, but we, help keep people motivated and organized. And we had to do a lot of extra practices. And if we didn't, we had to run. And so we just tried to keep the chaos
Yeah.
organized, basically.
I want to say this. The reason I'm talking to you about this is because my wife is an incredible organizer. Kim puts together parties, and so from my experience, I've learned to know more about people. It's like, where did this come from?
Mhm.
So this is the reason I'm talking to you so much about it, and and we're going to get to it later. But your husband brags on you, and I believe you changed him for the better. And I when I go back to your high school, I can see why. So here you were. Another thing, stingeries, cheerleading. Your team won the Universal Cheerleading Association National Championship. And the old saying goes, nothing's easy to win. So tell me about winning that championship. How hard was that?
It was hard. We had cheerleading competitions. The team had competed for years. Our freshman year, we won second or third. And then my sophomore year, we won second. And then my junior and senior year, we actually won. And so we were very proud of that. They didn't win again the next year, but they had done well afterwards. We were part of, we were a small team. And some of these giant schools in these bigger cities, Austin, Westlake, the big schools that had the good football teams, there's so many kids to choose from. They had cheer squads for their teams, and then they had a competition team, which we didn't do that. We had one team that did everything. So we were busy and we worked very hard, and we wanted to win so bad. They had white satin jackets. Of course, you get a big trophy, but all the girls got this jacket, and it was like this thing you really wanted to have. And so we ended up, it was surreal, but it just kind of proves that if you really want something, and you can have it as long as you really put in the work. And so we were proud of that. I'm still proud of that. I saw my jacket. It's in the closet upstairs.
I was going to say, do you have your jacket? And you just answered that. I want to comment on something you said that just shocked me. Uh, I went to sports therapy. It cost I didn't pay for it. Square D, one of my sponsors, they paid $22,000 and they offered it up to me because they're sales force. Like, if you're going to be a salesperson, it can be very demeaning because you're trying to sell things and people won't buy it. So you got to have positive mental attitude. But I learned a lot in sports therapy. And another person that taught me a lot, and I bring him up every once in a while, is the great Dick Trickle. He was he won thousands of races. He came down to NASCAR when it was too late in his life. But you just said something on your own that he preached to me, and I've never heard it. You said, we won second. And Dick Trickle preached that to me. He said, my boy, you won fourth. The guy in fifth was all over you trying to pass you. Do you know that you have that in your vocabulary? You said, we won second.
Yeah, I try to look at everything with a positive attitude instead of a negative attitude. It's cold outside, but the sun is shining, so I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm not a cold weather girl, but I'm going to bundle up and be excited because it's a beautiful day. I try to just celebrate the good stuff and not even pay attention to you can only have so much negativity in your life before it just takes you over, right? So I just don't. I've always tried to just choose joy and live with that mentality. I think now it's just second nature. I don't know where that came from. That probably came from my grandparents, spending so much time around people that just knew what life was like already. And I've never really thought about it that hard, except for that I just don't like when anyone around me is super, super negative Nancy or glass half full. I just okay, I'm not going to spend too much time around you because I don't want that rubbing off on me.
I'm laughing because that's my new deal. It's a long story, but okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I have it. I always show people, I have 2 pages on you, and I had it at the bottom, but I'm going to move it up right here to this conversation. Dale Jr. is quoted. Your husband is quoted as saying, you helped him grow up. He was immature before you. And listening to you, and before you and Junior got married, we did a lot of talking. He felt a lot of pressure being his dad's son, nothing was ever good enough. And of course, we had the Dale Jr. conversation, and he talked about crying around you because he didn't qualify good enough, all the way in the Mountain Dew car. I mean, I can see why right now, what you just said, being positive, um, that's incredible. I just want to comment. I'm going to move that up in this conversation. He was immature before you. He married you, and he says that you helped him be more mature. And I believe it's because of your early days in cheerleading and choosing to be happy. Did you have to work? You saying that just comes natural to be happy?
I mean, it comes natural to try to look at the positive. Of course, there's plenty of days where I'm in a bad mood or I'm unhappy, but
all of us.
I mean, there's so much going on, life is chaos, and I'm a woman, so who knows? The wind blows and my mood can change at any moment. But I think dating Dale, when I first came around, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I truly didn't. I had never watched a NASCAR race. I remember my dad watching them when I was young, and that's about it. I knew like the Earnhardts were. I knew who Richard Petty was because of his cowboy hat, and then I knew who Jeff Gordon was because he ran the DuPont car, and my grandfather worked for DuPont for years. So I think he said Jeff even came to visit them at one point for like a meet and greet. So like my knowledge of NASCAR was very limited. I didn't pay attention to like the family dynamic or anything like that. I just was so excited about this feeling I had that like I was just hyper focused on Dale, the person, not the race car driver. So when I first met him, it was awesome, and he was, what time of year was it? I think it was off season. It was. So he wasn't like race car driver stressed. He was laid back. It was easy to talk to. And then when the first time he took me to the racetrack, I got to see that chaos and his, the shift of his personality and all of that change. It really was eye-opening. I didn't really know what to do with it. So I just watched and observed a lot. But I don't know, over the years, just going through all the motions with him and trying to figure out how to help him being strong, which was something that seemed to be easy. Some people might call it being a hard ass. I don't know. Really know.
Yeah.
It seemed to be what he needed from me. So sometimes I was a little bit of both, I guess. But just being there and being strong for him was something that was easy for me to do.
I want to stay right here with you, okay? But I'm going to talk about Denise Neal saying something about you. But while you got me on this subject, I got to stay right in this moment. When you first, well, let me back up. Let's do this too. It says that you met Dale Jr. as an interior designer. You were designing his home. Is that right?
That's right. So I went to college in Kentucky. I was a Wildcat. I actually cheered for them for a year as well, which was super fun. And went to college being an interior designer. I started out in engineering. Then I went to architecture. And then I settled in interior design that felt more in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I went to college for 5 years, ended up getting a job in Florida, and was in Jacksonville working at this architecture firm. Our director, this is kind of a little bit of a long story. Our director and the guy that Dale had already hired to build the house, he was building the house on the backside of the property here. And Dale didn't like how close it was to his, so he bought it mid-build, ended up finishing it, and now our property manager lives in it. So he made a relationship with his builder through that process. The builder director grew up together in Florida. So we just happened to have that connection. And when Dale decided to knock the house down that he had bought on this property and rebuild, Dave, the builder, called my director, Mike, and he's like, listen, man, this is your dream. He's been a NASCAR fan his entire life. He's like, you have to put a bid in on this job. And that's how we got it. We weren't home builders. We were a commercial architecture firm. We didn't do houses at all, really. We did apartment buildings, doctor's offices, walls, all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't know. It felt a little cosmic that we got the job to begin with. And I met him in a meeting at JRM, just looking over plans about the house that we're now in. Yeah.
When did he first hit on you, or did you hit on him? What was the when do you remember going, oh, I think we like each other?
Honestly, the first meeting, and I wasn't looking. I don't think he was looking. He hardly looked up from the plans. And at one point, I'm talking about something. I don't remember what it was. And he turned over and then we made eye contact. And I was like, oh, what was that?
I love this.
I like almost got a little truly choked up. And so in the car, we drove all the way up here from Jacksonville. On the car ride home, my boss is like, I think he kind of was a little smitten with you. And I looked at her, I was like, what was that? I don't know what that was, but he looked at me and I don't even know what to make of that. And so we didn't have conversations from then on for a while. He would kind of avoid meetings. He was busy doing this, that, and the other. And then it was probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 months later, we had gone to eat dinner with Kelly and we were all going to go down to Whiskey River down in Charlotte. He had the bar then. And I think Gary Allen was doing an opening or something. So we got invited to go hang out. And that night is when, at one point, TJ Majors pulls me over because I'm just dancing, doing my own thing. TJ Majors walks me over to Dale's little booth and says, hey, come sit by my friend. And it wasn't like, hey, come talk to Dale. It was, hey, my friend wants to hang out with you, which is super weird. But those, who knows, those boys, the way they operated back then is really funny. So I sat down and we hung out and talked all night and had the best time.
And you gosh, I don't even have to go by my notes because now TJ Majors, okay, he was your husband's best man in the wedding, and
Yes.
now he's back. You guys just announced for the Dale Jr. download that TJ is back on the show.
Yes.
So this TJ Majors is a major part in your life.
He is. We traveled to the racetrack. He was with us every weekend. We were all very, very, very close. TJ's one of those people too I could call now if I needed anything and he would be there. Our kids are really good friends. I'm really good friends with his wife. They're just good friends. They're friends, like lifer friends, you know.
Very rare. Snoop Dogg. I know I just did a 180. Whoop. Snoop Dogg's got this quote out. He goes, my friends are real friends. When we get done playing video games, they help me vacuum the house up, you know, and it sounds to me like, and I really like that, Snoop Dogg saying that, you know, my friends are the same friends I had before I had a dime. And do you feel like TJ's like that? He's like a real friend?
TJ's like that. We have a small group of friends that same thing. We play together. We look after each other's kids together. We can call each other when we need anything. Yeah. TJ's one of those people. Tamala's one of those people. We're very blessed to still have like a good core group of people that we can count on. And he's one of them.
Yeah, that is badass. I like that. That's one reason I moved back home because I felt like I know I had good friends in North Carolina, but I needed grounding. I didn't want to go into a restaurant and have somebody ask me, why did I run 15th, you know, in a race? Okay, so back to all you. And you just said it. You were not this dumb blonde that, you know, are you blonde or brunette?
I don't know. It just depends. It's like a dark blonde now. I grew up blonde. I've dyed my hair dark a couple of times. I get bored and I'll just like dye my hair dark. But it's naturally like this is it right in here.
Yeah. Well, my point is this: you worked hard. You know, you were a cheerleader. You wanted to lead. You danced hard. You went to University of Kentucky. You could have had mom and dad just flip the bill, maybe, but yet you know, you're part of interior designer. Where does this heart? I mean, now you're married to the most famous race car driver in America and maybe the world. You're married to one. I mean, he is the most popular driver. There's no doubt in my mind. But I mean, you could have took the easy street growing up. I think your work ethic is incredible. Where does that come from?
There wasn't an easy street growing up. So my dad had 3 girls and he was an only child, but we grew up around people that worked hard. And Dad saved this much money for a car. He saved this much money for college. And if you wanted to do anything outside of that, you had to substitute the rest, right? So going to Kentucky, especially right after I moved out 10 days after I graduated high school. I was so excited to like fly the coop and see the
Wow.
world. And I felt very comfortable doing that. I wasn't scared to leave home. I wasn't scared to not have mom and dad. I'm not saying it wasn't scary, because it was super scary once I got there, just like not being able to turn around and drive home. It was too far. It taught me so much about myself. It taught me how to be responsible. It taught me what my flaws were, what I needed to work on. It forced me to wallow in my own failures too, and learn from that, instead of having someone to just like, it's all right, you'll be fine. Here's some money. Here's whatever. You're going to be fine. I had to really teach myself how to be strong, how to live as an adult. So I didn't grow up in a house where I felt in need or in want of anything, but we weren't coddled, and we were not just like, dad wasn't going to give us a credit card and mess around with anything like that.
And we got that in North Carolina. A lot of the drivers' kids, and the stories ricochet throughout Mooresville and Lake Norman. A lot of the kids got credit cards.
Yeah.
Do you feel were you and your sisters tomboys at all? Did your dad? I know, I guess he treated you like girls, but it sounded to me like you guys were in order.
We did a little bit of everything. We have, my grandfather on my dad's side has cattle. There's 2 farms, and he's not a big rancher, but he does have cattle. So we go out. We've spent so much more time outside than inside, for sure. We danced and did ballet and were girly girls, but we also knew how to throw hay off the back of a truck. And we knew all the tools in the toolbox. Dad would have us out in the garage handing him tools as he was working on his truck or something. And I don't know, we just did whatever everybody else was doing. And we were surrounded by a bunch of activities like that. So we just kind of got used to those things.
Yeah. Boy, here I am, 61 years old, and just finally learned that cheerleaders, yes, they're pretty ladies, but they're well-grounded. They work hard. I learned all that watching, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And now it's weird, right? I'm 61 and I'm learning all about these cheerleaders that actually, those girls work for a living, and cheerleaded. Sounds to me like you did the same thing. Is that a Texas thing, or do the cheerleaders do that all over America? Or is it just?
I would say that cheerleading is absolutely one of those things that will teach you a lot of self-discipline. Any kind of like dancing competition will do the same thing too. There's a lot of time spent in the team organization, and the team effort to win instills that in you. But I do think there's something about a Texas woman. I've been told that, and there's a stigma around Texas girls being tough, or if not physically tough, just mentally tough.
You said when you went out on your own, you wallered in. You didn't say that. I wanted to help you. You wallered in for a little bit, and that you're saying that was good for you, because you had downfalls.
It was. I learned. It teaches you a lot about yourself to be out on your own, so far away from home. First year of college, I signed up for classes at 8 a.m. every day during the week, and what a stupid thing to do when you're 18. Like, they had other options.
6:30.
I'm like, I'm just going to get it done, and then I'll have all day to play and blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't make it to class half the time, and I get kicked out of English class.
Yeah.
So that taught me a lot about my choices, structure, being on time, being responsible. That happens when you're 18. You go through moments like that where you're like, oh, this is real. We're not playing around anymore.
Yeah. So Denise Neal, okay, you leave school and they come back to interview her, and she says, Victoria cheerleading coach said Amy Reimann was driven, hardworking, talented, and competitive. Where you wanted to kick some ass, it sounds to me like.
I was okay to fail if somebody was obviously better. That's okay. Yeah. But not if we didn't bring it. I'm not happy. Yeah. I'm still like that. Like, don't half-ass it. Don't even try if you're going to half-ass it.
Yeah, okay, and we're going to get to that. So you were a Victoria strutter. What is a strutter?
That is a junior high school age drill team. So that was like a competitive dance team, and they were the strutters. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought so, but I've never heard it used. Is that a Texas word? Why have I never heard that?
It was a play on like strut,
Yeah,
just like a
yeah,
fancy walk.
yeah. Look at me, I'm a badass. Okay, so they keep bragging on you. Um, they even used your senior picture as a sample for graduate invitations. Your sample spurred record sales for pictures on the front of the graduate invitations. Now, whether you believe that or not,
Wait,
that's
what?
what yeah, that's what they said about you. They said you okay, so they made new invitations, and
For what?
when you were a senior and you put invitations out to your family, I guess. Look, Amy's going to be a senior. She's graduating. Did they said they used your senior picture, put it on the front of invitations. So, and I'm just reading this verbatim. Uh, so I don't know if they do that to this day, but if your child is going to graduate, and I get this a lot where people are, somebody sends me a picture of their child, with their graduation cap on and gown, and you
Uh-huh.
send them $20, and the kid graduates, and now the kid's got a little bit of money to go off to college. But what they're saying is that, and I'm repeating myself, and I'm just reading this verbatim off the article. They even used your senior picture as a sample to advertise that they were doing that, and they felt like your
Oh,
picture,
so the photography studio.
yeah,
Yes. The Krasinskis, they were very, very good family friends. I mean, it's a small town, right?
yeah.
Um, yes. We had pictures taken with that portrait studio since I was very small. Like we would do Easter pictures, they have the bunnies and all the things. So we've got loads of awesome memories with them too. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was cool, and that was in the article. That they use your pictures. Go, hey, here's a graduate. Here's what our graduate invitations look like, and they said they feel like it really helped. Okay, now we're gonna go to what you talked about. Just gloss over it a little bit. So you go to the University of Kentucky, and you get a Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design. I mean, you that's badass. So I mean, before you get to Dale Jr. is my point. Before you get to Dale Jr., you're successful because you got a Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design. 4 years? Did that take 4 years?
It took me 5, but that was because I switched majors that first year a couple of times. So I graduated in 2005.
Okay, we did it. We have celebrated. You were not done by any means, but we have celebrated Amy Reimann and now Amy Earnhardt. Congratulations, Amy. I mean, nobody will usually do that in life. How'd you get to where you're at? And we just told everybody how you got to where you're at. I think it's a wonderful story. So now let's come to present time. Okay, we all follow each other, and this morning, minutes before we start Kenny conversation, it's like you were preparing yourself because now you're promoting AG1, a drink.
Yes.
And it appears to me uh, that you know what the hell you're doing. You got the link on there. You're well spoken, and we're gonna get to vodka in a little bit here. Do you ever remember coming out of University of Kentucky and going, "Hey, I'm gonna do any type of advertising. I'm gonna talk about product"?
No,
No.
honestly, I'm not super comfortable with attention in general, which is
Yeah.
so it's hard. The transition of like getting out of college, going to school was just so that I had a livelihood, and meeting Dale was like this thing that was not planned at all. I didn't
Right.
even like position myself to meet him. It was just working.
Yeah. Yeah. Hundred
So
percent.
when this whole new life started and he wanted me to start doing this and that, like in a Hellman's commercial or whatever we did together, it was beyond nerve wracking. Like
My palms are sweaty.
so hard. Now it's gotten a little bit more comfortable, and being able to do the ads on your phone and edit it, and it gives you a little bit more freedom to mess up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
those ads, you could film them in 20 seconds and do it in one take if you're really, really good at it. Or sometimes it takes you an hour and then it takes you 3 hours to edit it, depending on how much chaos is around you. So, um, I love doing it because it's a little fun. It gets me outside of my box, and I only will support things that I absolutely truly love or I've used before, and I get the opportunity to do that, and it makes total sense to me. But I don't know, it's just like a fun little extra hobby to have. Having kids and not working in the design industry anymore, it just gives me something that's just mine, I guess, that I can do creatively.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
They always say we need purpose.
Yes.
You're a great wife and mama. But so another thing that I like, it was funny because I sat down at a Texas Roadhouse. But besides that, you are the co-owner of High Rock Vodka, and you all sent me a nice little package, and I got to tell you, it's very High Rock Vodka is very good, goes down very good. But yeah, so you go to Texas Roadhouse. You took, when I read what you're up to, you take the race team. Whether it's the Cars Tour race team or whatever, Junior Motorsports, you take them in. Yeah, you take them in at the Texas Roadhouse, and there you see your picture with you and your husband, Dale Jr., Amy. There it is. The hard work. You're promoting High Rock Vodka. You're selling it, but you're working for it. You're doing the commercials. You're doing the pictures. What did it feel like to finally see that? Your marketing. The little things that sit on the table. What'd your mind go? Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's very cool, but it's so weird. I am used to seeing Dale's face everywhere, but seeing mine there next to it is bizarre. I don't know. It's one of those things I can't really quantify with words, but it's just, I guess surreal is the best one.
Then okay, another subject. You do a 4-part series, TV series, Renovation Realities.
Yeah.
Now, to me, this, you're an interior designer. You're down in Florida. You're fixing a house. It looked like a lot of work to me.
It was.
What was your experience on Renovation Realities?
We had a great time. Doing that show was very eye-opening too about TV. I had never done anything like that before. I was newly pregnant. When we started the build, I was actually so pregnant early on that I couldn't tell anybody, but I was nauseous, so nauseous. And it was hot. It was so hot. Dale was drenched in sweat every day. We were physically doing the work. We had bought that house. It was right next door to our actual vacation home. And the lady that had it just needed to get rid of it. She had inherited the house and didn't want the house. So Dale bought it, let it sit for a while. We cleaned it up, and then we got the opportunity to do the show. And it was a lot of fun working with Dale in that environment and doing the TV thing. It was probably more fun for us to do that and coupled with the renovation, just so it gave us some light. You know what I mean? That choose and joy thing, because the build itself was really hard. But doing the design process with Dale and doing all those things together and with our builder Steve was a lot of fun.
So when we do these things, certainly we're going to get in arguments. When you and your husband get in arguments, how do you put the fire out? Who puts the fire out, you or him?
Well, when we go through processes like that, we actually don't fight. We're pretty good. I don't know what that is. When we're working through something that's real versus just us fighting because we're in bad moods, it's easy to work through it. When he and I get fussy with each other, it's usually me going to him, because he'll just get quiet and ignore me until even if he's the one that's wrong, which I'm going to go out on a limb. I would say it's more 75-25.
Yeah. The man is always wrong.
He's scared. He says he's scared.
My wife said she's perfect, and
she probably is.
I'm right. Junior respects you so much that he's a little afraid to battle you. I love this.
As he should be, I guess.
Well, there is a book years ago, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, something like that. So we are different. It is amazing that we can stay together. I'll be honest with you. I met my wife in high school. We've been married over 40 years, and I'd probably be dead without Kim because I'm hyperactive and I'm crazy. But I know what's up. Um, okay. I feel like we've really gone in chronological order, and here we are now in your life. Uh, you go to Germany, and
Uh-huh.
you're over there in Germany, and and Dale Jr. proposes to you in Germany. Tell me about just that time of life. I mean, how long was the plane ride? You get over there, it's like, what the hell are we doing? Did you tell
We
me the whole story?
Dale had done a lot of work on his genealogy. Even when we were in the racetrack in the bus, he had his iPad. He was doing whatever it was.
Ancestry.
Ancestry, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, he worked diligently for a very long time on all of the facts and worked with an actual historian here in North Carolina to make sure it was all valid. And he really had this gigantic amount of information about his family in Germany. Well, he has a guy named Martin Friedrich who works for him at JR Motorsports. He's part of the IT department. Martin is German and was like, if you want to go over there, we should go and I'll go with you.
Mm.
So that's kind of how that whole idea started. Well, we set up the trip. He's made appointments with people at the courthouse to look at more documents. We're going for ancestry. We're going to find his place in Germany. Kelly and LW are going along. They're going to see the whole thing. And so we're in this little tiny town in the middle of Germany. It's called Ilbesheim, and it is tiny. I think there's like 500 people that live there, maybe 3,000. I mean, I don't think there's 3,000. I think it's like 500. And there have never been too much fluctuation. So like people have grown up there and stayed there. And it's very quiet. So we get there and we're kind of hanging out and walking about town. We have some dinner in the pub that's right below our hotel. We're kind of in like a split level thing. We have a few beers and we go to bed. And the next morning we're going to look at the church. And so Martin has set up an appointment with the pastor of the church, and we're going to walk in. We are slightly hungover from the beers.
Is the beer heavy over there? Is it different?
It was wheat beer, but we had a really good old time and hung out with some locals. We couldn't speak to one another, but we all had a lot of fun together. And so heads a little fuzzy the next morning. We get into the church and we're walking around. It's super quiet. It's tiny. It's adorable. Like the pews are even like hand carved and just perfect. And so I'm walking around, and at one point I turn around. I'm kind of close to the altar, and he is on his knee. And I literally just look at him like, are you sure? He goes through his whole spiel. Kelly's crying already. And then he gives me a ring. And then we have a few moments afterwards, and Kelly and LW and Martin walk out. And I'm like, are you sure? Because, I mean, are you sure?
I love this. God,
Up until that
great.
moment, like we had so many conversations about not getting married that I never thought it would happen. And I was okay with that. And I, was just there for the ancestry to begin with. So it totally blew me away, but he really knocked it out of the park.
First of all, that's wonderful. It is an incredible story. A lot of work put into that. So good job, Dale Jr. So I've got a friend that looks Indian. His family acts Indian, and they don't have he was devastated when they did it. Don't have a stitch of Indian in them.
Really?
Yeah. So my point is the Earnhardts are from Kannapolis, North Carolina. They're country. Earnhardt, he listened to Leonard Skinner. So, America is a new land. It's very new, and America's awesome. But and we're having fun here right now. Is it Earnhardt? Is it German? I mean, we want to believe it's Dale Earnhardt Sr., the man in black, the cowboy boots, the black number 3. But is he German? I mean, is he just dead ass German, or what is he?
When we did the blood tests for him, and Kelly did it too, she's actually a little bit more German than he is. His mom was English. They were G. And he was a little bit more English than German. Like I'm talking 49-51 right there. But But yeah, mostly German. I mean, he's very German. My family is also German,
Mm.
and we keep in touch with our ancestors. There were two brothers. One stayed in Germany. One went to Texas, and so I reply that Texas lineage. And my grandparents have kept up with them, and so I've gone over and met my relatives. They're literally like 150 kilometers away. They're right there next to each other.
My God.
I know.
Isn't that amazing about life where we want to think we're badasses, you know, and Indians are badasses.
Yes.
And my friend was so disappointed. I'm like, you're not Indian at all.
So what was he? Do you remember?
I don't know, but you know, I can totally relate to you because I'm real fair skinned, and Dale Jr.'s mama was fair skinned. The Wallaces are kind of like I look like my mama. Me and Rusty look like my mom. Mike looks like my dad, Uncle Gary. But my point is this, and it's not a point, I guess. It's just a conversation. I experienced the same thing where we paint this picture that, you know, here we are in Mooresville, and, you know, Leonard Skinner, and I'm way older than you, so I know the Earnhardt, you know, he's a badass. And but Germany, yeah, isn't that something? And I'm getting ready to go to Italy, and we're going, you know, me and my friend are going to Italy. We're going to go to Germany, and we're going to check out the Nuremberg racetrack.
Okay.
What was it like over there? What was Germany like?
Germany's great. Germany is it's quiet. Like the people are quiet. They're not loud. They're not very boisterous people. The food's amazing. You're gonna love Italy. I think you're gonna fit in Italy better than Germany, just because everybody likes to have a good time. So you're gonna feel like it's a little easier to fit in Germany or in Italy than Germany. But you're gonna love both. I think you go and appreciate just what it is about each place, and don't. Everybody speaks English everywhere too, so it's easy. But I think especially in the small towns in Germany, you'll have a little bit harder time communicating. Whereas everybody in Italy is gonna know what you're saying.
God, that's such another subject. I just find it amazing that the oldest land on global Earth, they're made to learn how to speak English, which America is the newest land on Earth. You would think it would be opposite. You would think that we would learn to be more like them because they're the oldest. But hey, sometimes you know, things change. Okay, awesome, man. What I felt like you know, when I was listening to you, I felt like I was in the church with you. God, you did such a good story telling that.
Thank you.
Even down to the seating. You said it was, you know, carved
I
out.
pictured those pews because I want someone to make a chair where it looks like this, like maybe a rocking chair or something. It was like a storybook. It was just perfect. Yeah.
And I feel like you telling a story about the hotel was like real old, maybe.
Nothing's new. It was a family-owned like boutique hotel. All the rooms were upstairs, and then the restaurant where you ate and then had beers was right on the bottom floor. And like I said, it's quiet. You just walk up and down the street. You hardly see anybody. There's like a big giant poppy field right behind the hotel. I have a picture of that on my phone. It was just perfect.
Was it one of those hotels where when it's so old, like a bed and breakfast, like when you walk, you hear your feet, like a real old floor, you know, the clunk clunk. Yeah,
I think I ruined my hair, my curling iron too. I got like a couple of pieces done on one side and burned it up, and so that was the morning too. Kelly knew that we were going to get engaged, and she was like, "Oh no, like use mine." Hopefully, she was very concerned too with what I was going to wear. She's like, "So when y'all travel, do you kind of coordinate y'all's outfits so that y'all look good together in pictures?" And she's like, "What are you wearing today?" And like 20 minutes later, once we got through the whole thing, I was like, now I get why she was so concerned with my outfit and my hair being perfect and all the things.
Oh, that's awesome. So now here we are. It's, what is it, 2025, and you're settled in your life, but it's still exciting. I see you do lots of things. You and Junior have two daughters, Isla and Nicole.
Yes.
I see you say that maybe Nicole's more like you. Tell me about those two babies.
So as a child, I was kind of quiet and reserved, and I always, you know, went by the rules. And Isla is more like that than Nicole is. Nicole's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I think Nicole looks more like me,
Yeah.
And Isla acts more like I do. Isla definitely looks like her Mimi, I think, Dale's mom.
Gotcha.
Like physically, I think she like reminds me of her. So we'll see how that develops. But I don't know. Like there's just genetics are so cool. Watching them do anything as they grow, like you're going, oh wow, that's something I do, or that's absolutely Dale. And it's every time they do anything that's like stinkery, I just tell Dale that's his genetics, and that's but it's what's wrong with your kids, you know? That's you.
Isn't it amazing how, like if we can drive a race car in circles, people think we can solve world peace, which is silly, right? But it is unbelievable that when the babies are born and they get to be 3, 4 years old and they do stuff, I mean, with the same, it's like, oh my God, how does God do that? So you see your babies like they're you.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I think Dale has this has a stance. He'll stand and have like one leg out, and he'll just
Yeah.
sit there like with his arms crossed. His dad did that. There's so many pictures of his dad
Yes.
doing like that. I'm like, oh my God, you stand just like your dad. And he's like, really? Which he
Yes.
loves because anything that makes him like his dad, he loves that. Well, Isla's born, and literally at 1.5, 2 years old, she's just walking. She starts just relaxed, just will stand the same exact way. That one leg out with her arms crossed. I'm like, genetics. That is so weird. That's not a learned thing. That is like in her DNA to just naturally just stand just like her grandfather.
Yeah. That yeah, I find it fascinating. My youngest daughter looks like me. My middle daughter's got my brain. They're all awesome. Um, okay. I think the last thing, I want to ask you, when you came to this new world, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. world, and we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to hold this question toward the end. When you first went to a function, whether it was the racetrack or wherever, and you watched the people mob rush him, and you're like, "Holy crap, this is Elvis Presley." What during that time in your life, 15 years ago, whatever it was, you've been married 8. So if you've been married 8, what went through your head when clearly you were with the most famous race car driver in the world? What went through your head?
Honestly, when we first switched to the racetrack and we're in the environment around race fans, I didn't really know what to expect, but I was blown away. I was blown away and I was scared at the same time. Scared of like misstepping, scared of getting lost, scared of of just being in the wrong place, the wrong time, and getting stepped on or pushed out of the way. I don't know. He was always like head down, ran through the garage, ran through people, unless he was planning on signing autographs, and he would stop and do the whole thing. And I very much would, and I still do this, just kind of get as far away from that as I can because it's got nothing to do with me, and I don't want any extra attention. But when I first saw that, I had never seen anything like that in my life. That kind of like fandom and passion from people. I didn't grow up going to like football games or anything like that were professional. So being around any professional athlete was like a new thing in general. But race fans can get right in the mix. I mean, y'all have a very unique environment for fans in general. And so when I saw all of that, I thought, holy, what have I gotten myself into? And this is going to be quite the ride, no matter how short or long it is. Like, this is going to be quite an amazing person to be around. He seemed like larger than life, even though I met him and knew him as this like kind of vulnerable, shy, sweet guy. That Dale was like a totally different person. That whole environment, like it forces you to like be a different person. Did you
Yeah.
feel like that?
Oh yeah, it was. Listen, and for all the race fans that are listening, you're loved. We love you. We love it that you love us. But Amy and myself are just talking about that moment. We love every bit of it. But I want to say this, Amy: baseball players, football players, even the NHRA, even the drag racers. I hear those fans brag, "Oh, we can get right up to the car." That's fine, but we got to get out of our cars and we go somewhere. And it's awesome. We love it. We're not complaining, everybody, so calm down. But I know exactly what you're saying, because I would see Dale Jr. get out of that car, the number 8 Budweiser, or the 88 Mountain Dew, and the head would go down. It's like, I got to go, because here's the difference. NHRA, you're in a contained area. You can be right there. But the fans in NASCAR, they can tackle you if they want, because you get out of the car and you got to go to your hauler.
Yeah.
NHRA, they're at their hauler.
Right. It's it's different. The dynamic between the two, even though they're both racing oriented, are very different.
Yes, because you got to get to your hauler, and that's when the fans are going to come after you, between getting out of the car and going. And it's funny, when I just listened to you say head down. Yeah, you would see it. Head down meant I got to get to the hauler and talk about this race car.
Yeah.
Or if you stop, you'll never recover. If you stop, then there's 100 fans around you, and we are in this working environment. I think NASCAR is edgy. I think, do we owe it to the fans? Okay, but it can be. You even said, I mean, he is the most famous race car driver in the world. It had to be scary when you get a mob coming after you.
Yeah, I've never been around anything like that in my life. It was weird. It's still humbling and surreal to go to racetracks or be anywhere where he's doing his thing. It's always good to see people show someone that you love and support. So that is always great. But yeah, I just never really know what's going to come at us. It's always new.
You're like, you just said it's good to see them love your husband. That's your man.
Mm-hmm.
You're standing back full of pride. That's my man. Yeah.
That's right.
So let's end like this. You went to Florence, and Isla and Nicole, they're getting to where they can see things now. And what was you went to Florence, brought back the number 8 Budweiser. He gets all the way up. I mean, you're seeing your man challenge, starts dead last, comes through the field. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Comes through the field patiently, gets ready to challenge for the win. Of course, the motor broke. But what was the girls? Well, Isla, Nicole, you, the whole deal. Did they get a chance to see this? Their dad is somebody.
They got to watch him qualify, and we went to the garage. We were still on top of the hauler, and they got to watch that whole thing. They're in literally vintage Bud 8 gear that Kelly had saved. We dug things out of this bin that she had. They had the coolest old clothes on. We all did, but race time was kind of late. We started watching the race in the suite. We got 2 laps in, and the wheels were falling off the kids. I mean, we're melting down. So I take them back to the motor coach to put him to sleep. And I fell asleep too. And I missed the whole thing.
Well, it's exhausting being a mom.
I missed the whole race. I woke up at 2 a.m. when it was over. And so I texted him. I was like, what happened? And he's like, are you?
You're honest, though. You're honest. Yeah, but I get it. I was at Martinsville, and I was leading the race. I won a couple races at Martinsville. The caution comes out, and we got our tires on, and I'm down the front straight, and I look, and everything's calmed down. I'm done talking to my crew chief, and we're going around the track, and I look in, and there's my daughter, and Brookie had to be 8, 9 years old, and at that time, they could be on the back. We did have a tractor trailer, and there was my daughter doing a headstand. Put me right in my place. It's like, Dad, why do you keep going around in circles?
Oh my gosh, that's fun. She was just making use of her time.
To this day, my daughter Brooke, that is burnt into my brain. Where I'm out here, I'm going to win this race. I'm the most badass person. And my daughter, Brooke, did not care.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
I hate I missed the race. It was like when I woke up and heard how well he did, I was absolutely very proud and so upset at myself for not trying to stay awake. But
you're a mom. You're a mom. It's a lot of work. My wife has done an incredible job with our women know how to handle those kids, and we do us men, we do our best. But Amy, um, this was fantastic. Did you have fun? Was it?
I
I
did.
mean,
I had fun. I always have fun talking to you, and we don't get to see you very often. So this is
yeah.
great.
I have never have I don't think I've ever seen you in real. Have we ever seen each other in real?
What?
I don't. Where have I seen you? Oh, at the party. Why?
In
I was
real
at.
life?
Yes, like in real. When was the last time I saw you?
It's been a long time. I mean,
It's
at
been
the
a long
racetrack
time.
since everybody was racing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we were all focused. I get into that garage area and I become laser beam. People tell me how crazy I am, and I'm like, well, just don't come around me in the garage area because I don't
You know
know
what
that
I say
guy.
to people when they call me crazy? I'm like, well, that makes you stupid because no crazy. You gotta be dumb to call a crazy person crazy, right?
We're always defending ourselves. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, I had so much fun, and thank you so much. And I do want to let everybody know, I called Dale Jr. first because man to man, it's like, Junior, I'd like to interview Amy. He goes, that is badass. I said, well, I don't have her phone number, and he immediately sent me your phone number. So I want to thank your husband for letting me at least get your phone number, and I want to thank you for saying yes.
Of
And
course, I'm happy to do it, Kenny.
we just celebrated you, and we went all the way back to high school. So, all right, everybody, remember, Kenny Conversation, you can watch us right here on YouTube. Here we are, and you can see Amy. But now there's two ways to watch Kenny Conversation. We are on Dirty Mo Media, and we are on podcast. So you can put your earbuds in, and you can listen to Kenny Conversations with Amy Earnhardt right there on the Dirty Mo Media podcast or YouTube. So until the next Kenny Conversation, we'll see you next time, everybody.